BetterMan fam, we are back. This week we're discussing Chapter 3, The Restorer of Manhood, for Eric Mason's Manhood Restored. In this chapter, we're reminded that Jesus isn't just a savior from sin. He's a prototype of what real manhood looks like. In a world full of confusion, Jesus doesn't correct us. He restores us. And the truth is, manhood isn't something we can rebuild with culture, effort, or religion. It takes gospel transformation, plain and simple. Jesus gives us identity, authority, purpose, not rooted in ego, but in submission to God. So tonight, as we sit with these fathers, we ask, what does it mean to be restored? And how do we pass that kind of manhood on? All right, tonight, fellas, we in it. Got a couple of questions. Everybody had a good week so far?
Yeah, pretty good.
Good. So I'm gonna jump into the first question. And as we talk about restoration, first thing comes to mind is, faking it till you make it. In the business world, sometimes in sports and school, we've always been told to fake it till you make it. But when is the last time that you felt like you were faking it as a man, right? And what made you feel like you had to pretend? When's the last time that you felt like you were faking it as a man, and what made you feel like you had to pretend?
I think maybe when I first got married, I knew that one of the qualities that I was supposed to have is to protect my wife and so I might even, check a room out before I let her go in it, and stuff. Cause I just felt like that's what I was supposed to do, but I didn't know what I was doing or why I was doing it. But I was trying to be in the vein of what I was supposed to be doing. So I say, wait a minute, baby, let me check this out before you go through there.
So Derek, if somebody jump out, was you gonna whoop?
Oh no, I'll tell her to run, keep up with me.
Right. Come on, go on now, go on. But Derek, with that, right, that's kind of stereotypical of what they say men are supposed to do. I mean, we're supposed to protect. But how do you teach our sons? How do you teach your sons that they don't have to fake?
I think it's consistency of that particular rule to with everything, from being chivalrous to open the door for your mom, just being mindful of what she needs and catering to her, those kind of things, just through those things. And so he knows when it comes his time to have a woman in his life that he'll remember those things from. So through how he treats his mother.
Yeah. You said that, you felt like last time you had to fake it was when you first got married. I know sometimes even when, you've been married for a long time, and let's just say that there are other couples or young men who are looking up to you, right? I know there are times I thought that I had to fake it or make it seem like it was better than what it was, right? Because I'm a Christian and because I don't want these young cats to stumble, or I don't want them to know the reality of how difficult it could be at times. And so, I think it's just I think the way we've been raised and taught as young men is that we are supposed to fit this particular stereotype of what a man looks like. And if we don't fit the standard, we create one, right? We create a fake version of that until we feel like we've arrived at where we're supposed to be. And so I know there were plenty of times where I just wanted younger guys to look at me and be like, man, that's the type of husband I want to be. And I'm like, bro, you just don't know. This is difficult. This is hard. I'm just trying to maintain. I just can't let you see that. Does that resonate with anybody?
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
I had an example. I think during COVID, man, I was on different committees, and it's like the Lord brought this back to my remembrance. For our school, I was on the committee, the COVID preparation committee on our church, kind of dealing with that. And, having to provide answers, but man, there was a lot of concern because, we had never lived through a pandemic before, So when you're thinking about being in a pandemic and kind of trying to, feel like, okay, people are coming to you for answers. But you're like, okay, I really don't know what all this looks like myself, So for me, it was a little bit of, okay, Lord, and it really made me, Delaria, run to the cross or run to the Lord more.
Yeah.
I just remember the feeling during that time of trying to figure out how we were going to do church, helping church to happen when there was so much fear and uncertainty, and helping the school figure out how to function when that was a real challenging time. So, yeah.
So it sounds like then, and think about this, guys, there's a level of calm and confidence that you have to walk with, even in unfamiliar territory,
Yeah.
something like the pandemic. So in that case, it may not be that you feel like you're faking it, but for the sake of the people that you're leading, the sake of the people that you're providing for and caring for, there's a level of confidence and calm that you have to walk in, right? Because a lot of times, uh, they may thrive off of your confidence, right? If your confidence is low, oh boy, the house is shaking. But if dad's confidence is high, then things are good.
I think that's where there's power in what Derek was saying. He went and checked the room out before his wife, even though the uncertainty, it could have been something, crazy going on in the room, but
Right.
I'm gonna step out here and I'm gonna lead anyway. And I think that I want my son to lead, even if he is fearful, if he is concerned. I still want him to, go out swinging, go out, say, hey, I may not understand everything that's going on, but I'm gonna show up.
Right. I ain't never scared.
Never.
Right.
But that's where we came from, though. And don't you think, though, that generationally, one of the challenges of this new generation is we grew up where competition was very much so a part of how we grew up. Like all of us right now on this call, we're past 40, but if I was to put a challenge, let's play a game of 21, every last one of us would get out there and try to whoop each other at 21. Whereas I don't always see that level of competition in this new generation.
Yeah. No, it's real, man. Anybody else? What you think about that, guys?
Yeah, I think for me it had to be, when my father passed away, 22, and I was trying to stay strong with my family, boys looking up to me, and I'm just tore up inside, and trying to hold it together, and exude confidence because they just lost their grandfather, and my wife lost her father-in-law, who she really was a big father figure for her in a lot of ways, providing a lot of stability in her life. And so I just remember that time, just like I say, relying on God. God, Bible says that his strength is made perfect in our weakness, and that's the time where I see that for me is that things had to be done. Certain details had to be taken care of, and even though sometimes I just felt like I was going through the motions, somehow we got through them all.
Yeah. That's good. Trail, you can you think of anything or?
Well, I couldn't at first, but then Elton, he just, what he just said reminded me of when my dad passed as well.
Yeah.
I think I was 27, still lived at home, but my dad paid all the bills and took care of everything, and nobody else knew. But I think before that, I started opening up bills just to familiarize with things that are going on within the household. So when he did pass, I was able to handle all of that and then show my mom, what all those things are. So I think from that aspect, and then, from now that I'm having children, making sure I teach them the things that I might have learned throughout the years, or things that I wish I would have done better, opening up the door for women, treating women a certain way, and things of that sort. So I think that's what I can, recall.
Yeah. Is there an area of your life, fella, where you felt like the Lord had to break something before he could restore it? Right? An area where he had to break something in you before he could restore it.
So this one also points me back to a parent passing away. My mom passed away when I was 23. At that point in time, I was actually in a relationship with my current wife, Andrina. But truth be told, I had no idea what marriage was like, the commitment it was going to take. And so when my mom passed away, I just reevaluated everything. We stepped back from our relationship because I realized that I didn't really know what I wanted out of life in a lot of ways. I came back. I started pursuing my PhD after the time that my mom passed away, after kind of reevaluating really what my purpose was supposed to be in life and what area that I was supposed to be given into. And God showed me, I remember clear as day, in the way my mom passed away, he said that you're supposed to be a light in a dark place, and that's an education. There's a lot of knowledge exalting itself, and you're going to be a standard of humility in that space. And it's kind of set me on the path to pursue my doctorate and eventually, you go down the path of becoming a professor and that sort of way. But God had to totally break it because before that, I was very self-interested, and it would have, and I wouldn't have been a good husband at that time. And so I tell Andrea, she dodged the bullet, dodged the bullet. You got a better guy on the second go around after God broke some things down and restored me than you would have got in the first place.
Yeah, man, that's real good. It just reminds me, of weightlifting, right? When you go to the gym and you lift heavy weights, you tear your muscle. But as they, heal and begin to contract and constrict, they also begin to grow. But they grow through the brokenness, through the breaking of something. So yeah, and then you're fully restored after that. That's good, man. That's real good. Anybody else?
I think for me, I remember when I was in college, and I moved to an apartment by myself in Houston, and the Lord told me before I moved in the apartment, he said, listen, ain't gonna be no partying, ain't gonna be no kicking it. This is your grow up in me season of life. Very similar to what Elton was saying. Like, when I was in pharmacy school, man, I lived in that apartment, man, and it was really an incubator. For about 4 years, just kind of growing up, man, because I was in my 20s and very similar to what Elton was saying. I was selfish and I was the only child. So the Lord had to really deal with a lot of that stuff to kind of get me ready to be a good student, to be the pharmacist and really kind of get me prepared. And I think a lot of young men don't know how valuable that is, to kind of yield yourself over to the Lord so he'll prepare you for a season of selflessness. And that's really what it is to be a husband and a father.
Yeah. That's good, fellas. So think about this. Like, think about how you handle correction. Do you receive correction? And this can be from your wife. This can be from an employer. This could be, conviction from the Holy Spirit. Do you receive it as restoration, or do you receive it as rejection?
Ooh.
I'll go ahead and take that one. Cause this kind of happened on Sunday. I think I had made a statement around, the family or whatever. And, it wasn't the nicest statement. It wasn't towards them, it was towards someone else. But, my wife, Tiffany, ended up, correcting me and telling me about it. And, I had to sit and just think for a second. They went to the bathroom and then she came back and I said, hey, I corrected that issue while you were gone. You were right. Simple as that. I shouldn't be acting that way. So yeah, I don't take it as rejection. I take it as being helpmate. Especially to me, it depends on who's telling you, and who has your best interest. And so I'm always going to give the benefit of the doubt. If it's somebody that's in my corner, I'm always going to think that they're saying it as something positive to help, not necessarily something negative or ill will. But that's just me. That's just how I take things from people that are in my corner. Strangers, that's a little bit different. But if you're in my corner, then obviously I know you have the best interest. So I'm going to look at it from that perspective. So
yeah. So in the middle of that, Montreal, tell the truth. When she corrected you, when she said, "Boy, you missed the turn. Slow down. You're going too fast." I just put all that correction.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I agree. I can't argue. I'm not gonna argue for something that's the truth, But a lot of times we do things and we just do it so fast. We just keep going,
Yeah.
But then it's like, hey, you get reminded of it, and that's supposed to stop you in your tracks, so you can take a few seconds to rethink that over, So
Yeah. No, I think that's great because, man, at the end of the day, and I tell my kids this all the time, there is a self-awareness that you need and a level of maturity that you need to be able to handle correction and to look at it like it's benefiting you, right? And for you not to be offended.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, the very first thing we want to do is we want to be offended. When you have to realize whoever, especially like you said, Montreal, when it's somebody in your corner, they want what's best for you, right? I think that's the way we have to look at our relationship with Christ, right? We could be like Courtney and, he said he was stuck in that apartment and he felt like the Lord had told him this, that, and the other. Brother, just think about it. That was preparation for who you are today, right? And just imagine if you would have rejected that time frame.
It was 4 years, man. That was a long time. I mean, I think back to it, and it was a breaking that went along with that, and yeah, and it's so necessary. But how many men, this goes back to the book and what Eric Mason was talking about. Like Christ really is trying to get us to lend ourselves to his example. But the only way that really happens is to kind of break the idols that we've established in our lives. And so many of us have established those idols because they were presented as such, And how many dudes, the most popular dude in the community was the pimp, the player, the womanizer, or the family member, your uncle who told you, hey, young boy, get the notches on your belt, get as many women as you could. A lot of us grew up around those environments, and the Lord has to deal with us so that we don't live out those same mistakes in how we are as adults.
Yeah. There you go.
I think the Lord is still breaking me right now. Because with me and my wife, it's sometimes it's a little difficult to always take instruction. And when her professional life, she's the boss and everybody's coming to her. And sometimes that thing doesn't click off when comes home, so it's like she talks to me like I'm her employee, sometimes, and I have to let her know, like, well, hold up, you don't run this over here, and or I didn't get to be the age that I am by not knowing nothing, so I don't need you to correct or explain some things to me, but at the same time, I know that she is my helpmate, and that sometimes if I take the time to really listen, she does have some valuable advice for me, or, for how we're going either which way with the family. But it's real tough. I'm gonna be honest. It's real tough sometimes because I just be like, what? Sit down, little girl. let me tell you something, So
Great.
Lord is still working on me.
Yeah, he working on you right now.
Eric,
That. Oh, go ahead, Eva. You about to say?
I just say I can feel you, Derek. A lot of times the correction doesn't come in the nice package that oftentimes, and but there's yet still some good stuff in there, and so I try to hear. I do my best, doesn't work all the time, but I try my best to hear, no matter what way it comes, I try to hear the truth that's in there. And so my thing is, God's been dealing with me about acknowledging it. I do pretty good about hearing things and using it and implementing things that I feel like I should do, when they're coming from when they don't come in the wrong way, but I usually don't say nothing about it. I just kind of quietly, okay, well, there was something there. There was something there. I guess I need to do that. And God's been actually working with me about not hiding in that way and not just doing the right thing, but also acknowledging that, hey, that was helpful when you said that. Because I'm trying to encourage the good word, but I want to encourage the delivery all the time. So it's balance, working on it.
I think sometimes when that correction comes in the form of disrespect, it's hard to feel like you can accept that as restoration if you feel like it's disrespectful.
Oh yeah.
And I want to acknowledge that, Derek, I think you're right. I think that, I don't think it's just one-sided. I think that, there are times where God has called us Montreal's example was very much so. I've been in the same place. My wife said something and it turns out, and I'm like, okay, she was right. I need to address that. I need to apologize. Absolutely. But then there are times too when, as a husband, I have to say, okay, no, we're not going in that direction. We're going to go in this direction. And then I'm okay with that, and so it happens. It's not just certainly a one-sided thing. I do believe we can't be afraid to lead. And so that's certainly a part of the story as well.
Yeah. And when it comes to leadership, you're not going to always be liked in that role. And if you're leading to be liked, then you're really not leading. You're taking instruction. But that's interesting, Derek. So as I think about that question about correction and restoration, is there an area of your character that your son is watching, right? Even when you don't want him to.
He's watching and telling me about either my temper or he wants me to talk to him in a polite way, and it doesn't always come out that way for me. And so he'll let me know, hey, I'll do what you ask me to do. Could you just be nice about it? I don't like you always yelling at me. And I'm like, boy, I gotta hold my tongue. And I'm like, okay, just breath.
No,
Yeah.
So Derek. So okay. With that being said, what story is your life telling him right now?
Wow.
There's a lily. Yeah. Come on. Well, I mean, Derek.
If anything, I think it's hope for the future of his life now, because, my son was adopted, and I adopted him when he was 6 months old. And, but we were very open about that. And we talk about that quite often. Now at age 11, he's very into it. He's really thinking about the things, and that he actually has another birth mother that he doesn't know, and he doesn't know who his birth father was. And And he actually starts to realize that, man, my life could have went a whole different way. And so it really helps him to think of hope for the future, because he knows his life could have been something else, totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Go on, great there.
So I just think it's hope for the future. He sees a lot more things that he can be, do, be a part of. We show him a lot of things. So I think just open to hope for the future.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? What's an area of your character that you know your son is watching? And what story is your life telling him right now?
That's a good question.
Yeah, no, I think, and I'll just jump in there, but I think, good or bad, the words that we speak to our children becomes their inner voice. Right? And so I just think, as a dad, the way I talk to my wife, the way I talk to people who serve me, right? The way I talk to referees at a game, right? My kids will see that as my character, and that will become their inner voice. And so if you speak life into them, well, that becomes their confidence. But when you do the opposite, that becomes their esteem as well. So just always being mindful of the words that come out of my mouth and the way that I treat people, especially when I'm preaching to them to teach people and each other a specific way. But we can keep it real. We can tell it.
Yeah, I think my son definitely, I think it's harder when you're a pastor in some capacity, or you're preaching, and obviously I'm one of the teaching pastors at our church. So, because you're saying so much at times that sometimes I think your kids can take for granted some of the things that you say to them, or it's just kind of like, oh, I know what you're going to say, Um, but the one thing that I gain comfort in is because I remember thinking like that when I was a kid. But I tell them, I said, you know what, some of the things that I'm saying now may not connect with you now, but you're going to remember it one day. It's going to come back to your remembrance. Because I remember when God brought all that stuff, my grandmother, my grandfather, my mom said, so for me, it's just being consistent, not getting caught up in, sometimes when I feel like I'm discouraged, am I doing a good job? Am I really getting in? Am I making a difference? Are they really hearing me? So, but it's definitely a challenge, and it makes me understand why God calls us to be faithful over a long period of time. Will you be consistent? Because sometimes you don't feel like it's connecting, but it really is. It's just taking time.
Yeah, that's good.
And so on the meeting that we had recently on Sunday, man, I tell you, the boys really came out of their shell. They did a lot of conversating. Aiden, Nicholas, Ernest, Andrew got a couple words in here and there. But it was great to hear them. And I heard something from one of my sons, Ernest. We was talking about sports, and he was saying that he says, yeah, some dads, you can tell it's all about them when their kid is playing sports, and they really make it hard on their kid to have fun, where the kid just doesn't want to do it. And so I was like, okay, no, I know I've been around a lot of sports for you, so hopefully, so if you're talking about it this way, it must not be me.
Yeah, you're hoping like, oh Lord.
He wasn't looking at me sideways. So I was like, okay, that's not me. Good. But hopefully I'm teaching them selfless leadership. I'm hoping that's what I'm doing. I want to try to teach them to lead the right way, to where, if I support you in sports, I'm doing it, because you enjoy it. It's going to make you better. And I'm not trying to live out my fantasy in you. I'm trying to support you, and it's not trying to make it selfish leadership, but we're trying to make it selfless leadership. So I would hope that they're picking up some good leadership traits from me. I've told them both that in their own way. I can, I believe very important to speak over our kids, in different ways into their future. And I can see them both kind of leading in different ways in different areas, as all men are going to be leading in some areas, right? And so I've been trying to speak to them about the kind of leader that they need to be, and that's what. So I'm hoping that as I see that for their future, I'm hoping that they see a story of a selfless leader in my life as well.
Yeah.
I wanted to say something. I wanted to piggyback on that with the guys. It's something that just really touched my heart so much is with Elton's kids and also Aiden. They spoke. They said, "I can't wait to be a dad and do the things and have a family." And I mean, they said that with so much enthusiasm and longing. I knew that it's because of the dads that they have.
Right.
And that was really touching how they were really like serious. Like, I can't wait to be a dad, so
Yeah.
that was all pretty touching.
That's awesome. And I've actually heard Blair, my son, say the same thing, and I think having great men such as yourselves around my son certainly has been a tremendous benefit. If you really think about it, we've put our boys in environments where they know a lot of great fathers, and they, it's very second nature for them to be around men who are dads, professionals, professors, firemen, doctors. I mean, we got everything around us. And I think it really helps for our sons to see that. I was on a podcast today at our church, and we were talking to the women, and I was sharing with them, Delario, I think I told you, this is so important because recent statistics came out that shows our birth rate is at 1.6 right now in the United States of America. And that's terrible. Any society and that I think if you're below 2, you're in the danger zone. Basically, what that means is when we get old and our kids get old, there won't be a generation that really will be there to take care of the older generation. So it's really a scary prospect to think about. So that's why it's such a blessing that you have young men talking about, I can't wait to be a dad. I can't wait to be a father. Because if things don't change, we're very, it's a scary prospect. 1.6, it's never been that before. That's how low the birth rate is in the United States.
Yeah. Man, that's good. That's good to hear. As Courtney mentioned, that these boys have a level of excitement, when it comes to marriage and fatherhood, because we also know statistically that men are getting married way later in life. So with that, we have sons who want to be married. If your son grows up and treats his wife the way that you treat your responsibilities right now, how would that play out? If your son treats his wife the way you treat your current responsibilities, how would that play out?
Man, you throwing me on that question right there. So you say your current responsibilities.
If he treats his wife the way you treat your responsibilities, right? What are your responsibilities?
Yeah.
Taking care. If he treats his wife the same way you treat your responsibilities, what would that look like?
D, you in goodness, D, my business, D.
We trying to help some men. Come on now.
I think mostly making sure that everybody's taken care of. Everybody has what they need, not necessarily what they want. Making sure, you take care of the hard things, for your wife, and take care of as much as you can to lessen the burden on her. So hopefully he'll do a little bit better than me because my wife does work very hard. So But yeah, I think in regards to responsibilities, hopefully he sees me doing that, and like I said, I struggle a little bit. I'm taking more off of her plate, but she makes it hard too 'cause she's a workhorse. But yeah, overall, I think that's it.
Come on, somebody.
I think with me, I think he'll continue to stay in the fight because if there's anything he sees of me is loyalty and sticking with his mom and with him. So I'm thinking he'll stay in there. He'll stay in the fight. He'll continue forward no matter what comes.
And I would say, and something remind me of something important said a little bit earlier. Hopefully he sees that, you can love your wife at the same time, you don't acquiesce to every request. You have to seek God in leading your family. And I know that so I always tell my kids that, usually my first response is going to be no, because I feel like that's my safest response. And then I work my way to a yes after consideration. And so I think that's one thing that they will see and hopefully see is that, leading doesn't mean pleasing at all costs. I try to I try to demonstrate my heart is to please my wife, my kids, but most of all God. And a lot of times, or some of the times, those things, the way I feel like we should go in terms of the family, as far as where God is leading us, may not be the popular opinion, and that is a hard call to make many times because you end up maybe disappointing people on some things. But that goes along with leadership.
That's real right there, buddy.
I think for me, being consistent over a long period of time, just I pray that, my son notices, and even my girls too, that, I've been consistent with their mom and faithful. And, and I love what Elton said. I mean, to be a good husband doesn't mean you say yes all the time. That does not mean that. It does, um, the no's, but even in the no's, it's trying to figure out, okay, what is the real question? What's the question behind the question? What is the real need? How can we solve that? And so for me, I've had to learn that I have to help, make sure that my wife feels heard. And so that's a process in and of itself, because heard to me as a dude is not always the same heard, that she feels. And so having the patience to sit that out and to learn, I think that's what makes a great husband, man. Is you don't get it done in a day, so that's why I said all the dudes, on here, I know the struggle. I know that. I mean, all of us are going through that, and it's a beautiful struggle. It's, but it is, because men and women are different. We don't think the exact same way. But my prayer is that he sees the value in it, and he sees the two are better than one, and he wants that.
Okay. All right. I can dig it. So in closing, I'm going to ask a question I want everybody to answer to. Right. So as we talk about restoration, what would change in your home this week? What would change in your home this week if you fully believe that you were already being restored and not disqualified? And what I mean by that is looking at yourself as a work in progress and not a failure. Right? What would change in your home this week if you fully believed that you were already being restored and not being disqualified?
I'll jump in. I'll jump in to start. One of my favorite songs by the Winans is "Restoration." It's finally come. I've been restored back to my place in God. What would I know about being restored if I never lost my place? What would I know about His mercy if I hadn't fell out of grace? Um, Restoration is beautiful, man. Because it's not over. It's not over. God can take the mess of any life and make it over into um a beautiful symphony or something beauty out of something that was really messed up, and for me to know that restoration can come to my life at any time, it always, you said it earlier, Delario, I always have hope, man. I always have hope. And I think that there's so many men who don't have that because they don't know that we serve a God of restoration. And so because they don't know that, they give up or, they throw in the towel or they're hopeless. And for me, I'm just so very thankful that we serve a God who's a God of restoration.
Yeah, that's good, man. I think when I think about that, there's a level of confidence that our children had when they first begin to walk, right? We would stand over them, we would watch them walk, and that very first time they fall.
Mm.
But that second time, they see dad's big hands right there. And every time they fall before they hit their knees, their dad caught them.
Mm-hmm.
There's a level of confidence that comes with restoration because we know whose hands we're falling into.
Yeah.
And so for me, like you can walk around this house knowing that Lord, I screwed up today. It was a hard day, but my Father is restoring me back to Himself. There's a level of confidence. There's a level of peace, right? There's a level of understanding that, just that can bring you a peace that surpasses all understanding by knowing that I'm being restored and I'm not being disqualified.
Yeah, that's great, D. I was thinking about that word hope, and you mentioned that word hope. I think Courtney might allude to that as well or mention it, and it's that's what I think would change. And my oldest son went to a camp on Monday at UTA, this engineering camp, and first day, I could tell he was a little intimidated. Let's talk about it's a camp on 3D printing. They're learning some basics on it. They're talking about computer programming, and he didn't quite know exactly what was going on, and he felt very intimidated. And I said, oh man, and so I think about what would change is not only me, but my whole family would feel that hope, that feeling of even, hey, when things are seem challenging, that's only because God, I haven't seen how God is going to work yet.
Yeah.
The situation, and when God works it out, it's gonna be awesome. But I know He's got it. I know I'm in His hands, as you were saying, and so that's what I would like to change. Is like I don't want it can't be just me walking in it, but I need my whole household to walk in that kind of hope.
Huh. Good.
I think I'm piggybacking on the whole thing of hope as well, because my here in the past I've had some real health scares that were real, and where I'm in the emergency room and Nicole and my wife and my son are there with me, and they're hearing the news from the doctor about me at the same time that I'm hearing it. And afterwards, the fact that my wife is telling me, if you ever thought that God wasn't there for you, or He was not, there in your time of need, you can't ever say that now, because He really came through in the time when I was sick, and we all together, all of us, was witnessing the same thing, a very dire situation that came out okay. And so, and it's it gave a hope to us as a unit, as a family, to know that God is truly with us and watching over us. And even my son, it made him want to, he desires to feel that from God, and makes him search and want to know God for himself a little bit more.
Good.
Man, ask that question one more time, D. 'Cause I had something in my head, but I forgot.
That's all right. I got you. So, what would you change in your home this week if you truly believe that you were already being restored, right? That you were not a failure, but that you were a work in progress.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's what. So yeah, I would just say being a better husband. Because at sometimes I do get that feeling that I'm not the best that I could be. I'm not the best that she wants, and I keep striding and trying to find ways to improve. To get better. And so I would think that definitely don't see it as rejection, but just seeing it as, an opportunity to learn more and do more and be more from that aspect. So that's what I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate you guys. And I'll end with this as I speak to the men who are listening to this podcast, that fellas, restoration really doesn't mean that you're perfect.
Mm.
It means that you're in the process. So my encouragement to you is that you should just keep showing up, keep surrendering, and let the Lord finish what he started in you. Until next week, we'll catch up.